My name is Mike Ristich with Bolt-On Technology, and I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. This afternoon here in the East, could be still late morning where you're at. We do have another moderator online with us that is monitoring the chat session. So at any time, if you have some questions, you can go ahead and type those in, and we'll get you those answers that you're looking for. But I'm going to move on forward here with the demonstration of Lube Sticker Pro and how it works with specifically Mitchell Manager and what it can do for you as far as creating a system and a process that is repeatable that can give you some predicted results, and what it can do for your business as far as setting the right expectations and delivering on those as the calendar changes. So Lube Sticker Pro is a part of a trilogy that we call Pro Pack. The trilogy is what's right here on my screen: Lube Sticker Pro, Message Manager Pro, and Report Pro. And those other webinars you'll be able to attend at another time. But so for Lube Sticker Pro, we're going to go in, we're going to discuss some of the items that you can do as far as customizing and setting up your system. We're going to go over some of the settings here and the best practices that have been put in place behind those processes to set your business up for success. So before we get into the actual functionality here, let's just go ahead and we're going to click on the settings screen. And so here within the settings screen, down the left is our menu options. That's these recommendations, appointments, advanced, printer, and save. And then over here in the tab window here is where we're going to modify any of those settings that you're looking to. So you can personalize Lube Sticker Pro to use your words and your terms. What I mean by that is you're allowed to put in up to 3 grades of oil. And here we have a good, better, best. So if you are using a menu board type style pricing, this may coincide exactly with how you're promoting that behind the service advisor on the wall. You could just name this conventional, semi, and full synthetic. So again, you are in the driver's seat. By default, we go ahead and we install this for you. We see that this is the most common way that it's being used, but we allow you to drive that yourself. Over here is the odometer reading in the days interval, and that's going to allow you to say how long the oil could stay in the vehicle. So one of the things that Lube Sticker Pro does really good is it uses a couple of variables, and I'll go over that, to determine when the vehicle should come back. So there's a lot of why behind the science here of our technology. So what I mean is, let's say you have a senior driver, someone who maybe only drives a few miles a day or a few miles a week. That person may take much longer than 90 days to come back and have their next oil change done. Whereas maybe somebody who is a salesman who is on the road ongoing and maybe is driving 40, 50, 60 miles a day, there's no way that they're going to last 90 days between intervals. So that's one of the first variables that we use, and that option is set right here. Use vehicle history to calculate the next date. So as long as the vehicle has been in one time prior and we have today's odometer reading, we're going to automatically set that next appointment based on actual usage. You can see here we have this nice round odometer to the nearest 100. That's to kind of make you look a little bit more professional and just give a rounded off number when the vehicle should return. I'm going to jump to the appointments tab. I want to show you here that the second variable that comes into play, so the first variable is how many miles or kilometers a day the vehicle is driven. The second variable that comes into play is what days of the week is your shop open, or even more importantly, what days of the week do you want to accept appointments at your shop? So a good friend of mine actually has a shop not too far from our office here outside of Philadelphia, and he has some quick lube bays and some complete care. Maybe some of you guys are in the exact same situation. But what John did is he actually went and turned off Friday. He explained to me that he has a lot of foot traffic that comes in on Fridays and Saturdays. That probably makes a lot of sense to you guys. Our technology is so smart that when you uncheck Friday as an option, it will no longer set appointments on a Friday, in this case Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the idea that John had was that he wanted to move his high volume oil change days, he wanted to move some percentage of his customers to earlier in the week so that he can have their vehicle all day. And so that was very successful for him, and it can be for you as well. So if you know that you're really busy on Monday, if it seems like every time you show up to the shop on Monday there's a lot of cars that are in the parking lot that you weren't expecting, maybe you want to turn Monday off, and now you're not going to set up your Monday with a lot of appointments. You see down here that you can have the scheduled start time, the default hours that we're going to put in the calendar, the maximum number of appointments per day, and then the minutes between. And all those are variables that you can go and adjust and make work within your business. By default, we try to set you up to do about 20% more than what your average car count is per day, and we'll go over the meaning behind that. Another thing I want to point out here in the user interface is these question marks. Now, if you open Lube Sticker Pro at your shop and it doesn't have these question marks, it's probably because you need an update. Simply just shut down Lube Sticker Pro and restart it, and it'll say, there's an update available, do you want to get it? And just choose Get Update. That update will allow you to see all of the new bells and whistles and features that have been added. The great thing about these question marks is when you click on it, it will actually give you the help right there inside the application. This is a new feature we just released this quarter of this year, and it's something I want to point out to make sure that you understand how to do that. You'll find that throughout the ProPack modules is going to be a new enhancement that you'll see ongoing. So back to the beginning here real quick. You can determine what types of oil and the interval. You're going to use the vehicle history to calculate the date. You're going to use the appointments to say what days of the week the shop is open. Of course, down here we have all of our do not schedule dates. These are holidays, and maybe you want to take advantage of a long weekend, something around July 4th or whenever. Some smaller shops, maybe they close for an entire week during the summer. You could go in and you can add another date from the calendar that you want to close and not accept appointments, and then our software will not book an appointment on that date as well. And then, of course, we have our recommendations. So here's one of the really big keys of why Lube Sticker Pro is so successful. So if you consider the last time you went to the doctor or the dentist, they didn't let you leave without setting an appointment for the next time to come back. It's kind of interesting that, some of us drive some really nice vehicles. We paid maybe $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000, or some of our customers have paid that kind of money for the vehicle that they drive. And why wouldn't we ask them to bring it back on time to have it serviced? Something as simple as getting the oil change done on time, but more importantly, your team gets to look at that vehicle and go over it and report back to that vehicle owner what has been found. Don't look at that as a negative. Promote that as you are the expert, and the more often you see that vehicle, the better it is for the customer, because maybe you can prevent a catastrophic failure. So that's why we want to come in and make sure that we auto add our vehicle recommendation. In this case, we're going to put Perform Lube Oil and Filter Exchange, and then the software will automatically add the date and the mileage to this recommendation. Of course, we want to clean up Mitchell in this case and delete the old recommendation. So as our customer gets on this steady diet of oil changes on time, we want the software to just go in and make sure that it cleans itself up and eliminates having recommendations that are no longer valid. Now, all of this that I just went through, the General tab, the Recommendations tab, and the Appointments tab, is all out of the box set up for you. But of course, you can customize that. Once you've made any adjustments, you're just going to click Save and Close, and then it'll apply. So what I want to show you here is that when you're inside the management system, Mitchell Manager, and you go ahead and you open up the work order, down the bottom is the ProPack button. By clicking on that ProPack button, you get our ProPack menu, and then you're going to choose Lube Sticker Pro. At this point, you could see that the odometer entered in is 93,000 and change. We're going to use a good or oil, grade of oil. We see that the average miles used on this vehicle is 32 miles, and so we've done the math, and we're calculating that the customer needs to come back on May 17th. All we need to do is change the grade of oil, and the odometer reading and date will automatically change based on the settings that I've put in. Same thing with best. Here's the big question that we ask you and your team. Can we get your team to stop using a Sharpie and writing a date and a mileage and putting it in the customer's windshield and to click this print button? If they can click that print button, then all of the behind-the-scenes work is going to be done for you. I don't have a recommendation for an oil change, nor do I have a future appointment. And so I'll go ahead and I'm going to choose my better oil, my semi-synthetic in this case. You see it's set up for 98,000 and change, and also it's set up for July 19th of 2016 to have that vehicle come back. So when I click the print button, the byproduct is that out of the Lube sticker printer, I'm going to have a nice label that I can tear off and affix inside the customer's windshield. Additionally here, I have that vehicle recommendation that you saw on the settings screens, right? Perform lube, oil, and filter exchange on this date or this miles. It's automatically assigned to the category lube, oil, filters, which is what I set up. It's when it's needed is automatically assigned. And so here's our automated recommendation. This is like the guy or the girl at the counter of the doctor, the dentist, saying, we need to see you July 19th. Here, let me write it on the back of our business card. That's all automatically done. And then if I open up the calendar here in Mitchell and I go out to July 19th, you'll see that that automated oil change for Mr. Saxton's S10 pickup is already in our system. You know, so the benefit behind doing it this way is that we take all of the responsibility of the vehicle owner, right? So today, your technicians are putting oil change stickers in vehicle owners' windshields. And the only person who knows that date and mileage is the guy behind the steering wheel driving the vehicle. We want to change that responsibility, and our software does that for you. Now, it doesn't put all of the responsibility on the vehicle owner. It puts the responsibility in the management system. So the takeaway from there is, what if, you know, this is a nice week for everybody to take a vacation, the week of July 18th. What if your service writer who set up the appointment for Mr. Saxton here is on vacation that week? Well, if it was something that was in his head or in his notebook or something like that, it's going to fall flat to the ground. It's not going to happen. But because we automate all of the responsibility and all the checks and balances to go into the management system, it's now going to be handled successfully no matter if your service advisor is on vacation or not. So what we've done is we've listened to a lot of the industry experts that talk a lot about how you should drive people back. You should set expectations for the next appointment before they leave this time. Well, we're doing exactly that for you. This is just through some software automation. There's some other benefits of our technology built into Lube Sticker Pro. I'll demonstrate them here so that you understand them. So back into the settings, we have this advanced schedule feature. So the advanced schedule feature is a very exciting tool. How many times are you doing an oil change on somebody's vehicle and you also sold them the tires? And you sold them the tires on the premise that you're going to rotate them. We have the ability that every time the oil change is done, if another job is on the ticket, we can automate that recommendation as well. So here we are, we're in Pennsylvania, right? So in Pennsylvania, we have an annual state mandated vehicle safety inspection. And so what we're doing here with the software is we empower you to not only remind the customer and the software about the oil change service, but also any other canned job you used on today's ticket. So what I mean by that is if we put the State 1, SIEM, which stands for State Inspection and Emissions, on today's invoice, when we click the print button, it's also going to set up an appointment and a recommendation for next year's inspection and emissions. If you're in California, emissions is every 2 years. So if the car comes in for emissions today and an oil change, you can automatically put it in your calendar for 2 years from now. The way that that is achieved is on today's order, I go ahead and I add, in this case, our inspection to the ticket. I launch ProPack, I launch Lube Sticker Pro, and I click the Print tab. You can also click this little Advanced button here in the corner. Now, what just took place is the exact same thing as if when I click Print, except now, because the canned job for state inspection and emissions was already on today's ticket, you can see that I've also added the recommended service for February 1st of next year, which is 350 days, to come onto the into the database. So I can even go out to next year's schedule, and I can see right here that Mr. Saxton's due back in for his inspection and emissions. And you can have as many of those in there as you want. If you do wiper blades and you do an air filter and a cabin filter, each one of them can be set up to have its own interval and automated to be added to the database so that you can communicate to that customer the service needs in advance. You're setting expectations. All of this is to help you look more professional, to keep you organized, to help to have the software help the human side of the business. You know, we all get busy, and we write a task list of things we want to do. I mean, how many times have you been to a seminar, and there's a trainer in front of the room, and he's saying, hey, isn't it a great idea to set the expectation for the car to come back before it leaves this time? Just like doctors and dentists, I'm sure you've heard that many times. This is the software that's going to help you do that. And it's all done right in the settings here. Upon installation, all of that is automatically included. the advanced scheduling is something you have to go and do yourself. And we have some YouTube videos and an online document that will walk you through those steps. But it's simply just a matter of adding, choosing your canned job. So here's a great example, right? If you have a 60,000 mile service, you could say that you could set the expectation for a 90,000 mile service, right? So we're going to add 30,000 miles and 3 years. So is it 1280? I think it is. That's how many days. We could say that it's a 90K. Let's just use the same kind of notation here. So 90,000 mile service. You can have a default amount of time. Maybe it's 2 hours. You tell it to auto add the recommendation, auto add the appointment, click OK. And then if we put a 60,000 mile service on today's ticket, so here we go to jobs, and let's look for 60. There's the one we chose. Transfer to today's order. We go back to Lube Sticker Pro. In this case, we'll just click this little advanced scheduling, and that's it. Right there's our 90K service. So you can go in and you can customize this, and it's all been designed so that it is really that simple. You just have to think through the examples. And when I see the car this time and I do the cabin filter, when's the next time I want to set the expectation to do that cabin filter? And you just go into that advanced scheduling feature and you would set that up. And the best part about that is it's going to happen every time that job is on a ticket. Every time you click print or that advanced button, it's going to automatically take into account and make sure that you don't miss that opportunity in the future. Let's see. So the other key that I want to tell you is it's 100% accurate. Because we're basing it on how the vehicle is driven, if it's that senior driver, it's going to extend how long it's going to take to have that service done. If it's a salesperson, like I said, who's on the road every day, it's going to be much shorter. The software in the advanced scheduling feature also organizes down the road. So if you set a future appointment for service, and then let's say there's a life-changing event for your vehicle owner. They change jobs, they move, they get a different home, but still using you for service. If their miles per day changes, the software will kind of organize future appointments together. So rather than them coming in June for an air filter and then in July for an oil change, it will kind of group them and say, oh, they're coming back for an oil change in July. Let's move the air filter to July also. And I'll share with you guys that all of these ideas have come from you. We receive nonstop feature enhancements and ideas, and we love to get that feedback from you guys because you're the ones that are working with it day in and day out. So at any point, you can always get in contact with us. You can go to the help, you can go to our website, and you could send us an email and say, I'm a user of Lube Sticker Pro. I was hoping that it could also do this. We want that feedback from you. So if you think there's something that we can add that's going to be valuable to the technology, please don't hesitate. In all of our software across the top, you can get to this help screen. You can get to this how-to guide. There's video has been recorded, just like this session's being recorded. It'll be out there. We have our website. Of course, if you have challenges, you can get to our support staff and they'll be happy to help you with whatever challenge you have to come over. One other feature I'll point out here, and then I'll look to see if there's been any questions, is our oil reset procedures. You know, one of the big things, or the biggest thing that Bolt-On is after, is why we help shops. You know, and we really do this to help you guys be more efficient and more productive and to look more professional. You know, we understand that you guys have a very complicated job. You know, you have one customer who brings you a Toyota, the next one who brings you a Ford, the third one brings you a Mercedes, and none of those customers really care except they want a fair price and they want it done by 5 o'clock. So just if we could save you a minute on this vehicle and 2 minutes on that vehicle, when you add up all that time, hopefully you guys see the result of that is that you are more efficient and your team is more productive. Another way that we've done that is we've put the oil reset procedures right here in the software. And so just by clicking on it, it could go out, and I think this was an S10. Of course, I don't have it here. Maybe it was a... I'm just going to jump over here and say it was a Jeep and a Cherokee, and we could choose the year 2015. And here are all of the reset instructions. If you want, you can click this print button, print them out. You can copy and then paste them into the system. And the idea is that we make you more efficient there. Again, just another resource. If your tech wants to go in and put the viscosity of the oil, it remembers all that detail. The next time you come in, that viscosity will be placed right there. If you're using a Dymo printer, we also have this key tag option for you. This is to help you, again, look a little bit more professional. You know, if you're today, you take the keys, you add the little manila slip, and you put maybe a license plate or the customer's name on there. You don't have to do that anymore. Just open up Lube Sticker Pro, jump over to the key tag, and click print. And that'll come out. So that's going to wrap it up for the features that we're going to cover in this webinar. I'll look to see if there is any questions. Let's see.
I do have one for Chris here. Chris, one of the things that Mitchell does do in their shop management is not only do they list the model of a vehicle, but they also list the submodel as one, and that's why it doesn't always pull without going over and actually selecting for the model.
And we're working on that, Chris, so that's a great question, and it is something that we want to streamline and enhance. It's just a matter of the resources there. And there's times where I've done this demonstration, of course the vehicle pops right up, right? So it's just today on this webinar that didn't happen there. I want to know how to change the wording on service reminders. Sam, I'm assuming you're talking about maybe with a CRM component. So let me show you how you can adjust wording inside of Lube Sticker. And then on the CRM side, you'll have to deal with your CRM provider. But here under the settings, under recommendations, this is where you would change the wording of what gets put into the management system. So you see this perform lube, oil, and filter exchange. And if I just minimize this and go back, you'll see those exact same words. We just added on the date and the mileage. So if you went and changed inside of settings, recommendations right here, you can then go ahead and modify what that states. I want to know how to change the wording on service reminders when the service is picked for 3 months ahead of time. Yeah, service is picked for 3 months ahead of time. When I read service reminders from you, Sam, I'm reading, okay, could you just say right quick, Message Pro works with Lube Pro? Yeah, the Message Pro reminder is a different one, and if you take that webinar that's coming up, you'll be able to go in and adjust the text message that goes out about reminders. That's what you're looking for. And again, it's just very similar to Lube Sticker. It's just in the Message Pro module that you'll be able to adjust that. Since we have some time, and right now that's the only question, I'll actually show you. So here, once Message Manager loads up, and we'll let it respond. You're talking about the automated text message. Yes, the text message, yep. So once this responds, under the Settings tab, you have the ability to change that automated message, and it can have a lot more meat around what you're trying to say. Okay, another question. Does Lube Pro still send text reminder for the auto appointment it made? So Lube Sticker doesn't send messages, Message Pro does. It reads the calendar of the management system, and not only does it send automated messages for oil change appointments, but it sends automated messages for any appointment in the management system calendar. So if somebody calls, let's say your automated text message is on a 7-day cycle, and somebody calls today and they want to come in next Friday, then on Friday, and they want to come in for, let's say, front brakes and tires, and you open Mitchell 1 and you add them to the schedule. As long as that person you add them to next Friday. Let's say they want to come in at 8 o'clock, a new appointment, you go through this. As long as that person has a cell phone number, Message Manager will also send them the text message, even though it wasn't a Lube Sticker Pro event. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, thanks. I'll be ordering Message Pro. Cool. Chris, what you really want to order, clear as mud. Thanks. What you really want to order is Pro Pack and get all 3 modules. It's actually cheaper than if you bought them independently. Okay, it looks like we've got all of our messages loaded now. So here, this is Message Manager, and under the Settings tab, under the Automation, this is the appointment reminder message. You can see that we have it set up. They go out at 12:30 p.m., 7 days in advance. And there's a whole bunch of wildcards you can use here to make that message as clear as possible. This one does not have the vehicle in this automated message, but you can also include the vehicle wildcard. Hopefully that answers that question. Of course, there's a webinar on that and online documentation that you can review and find. And of course, you can always call in and somebody here will be happy to help you.